so let's talk about title and title commitment. So I got a title commitment in the email.
Yeah.
Right? What is a title company?
Well, the title company is the company that sent you the title commitment. And the cool thing about a title company, they're a very important partner in the process. And one of the things that's best about a title company is they're a disinterested third party. They don't really have much stake in the game for the seller or for the buyer. They don't really care. Their whole job is just to facilitate the transaction. And really, one of the main reasons for a title company is just to make sure that what's represented to happen is really going to happen. So, for example, they have to verify that whoever the seller is really the person who owns the home, that they're really the right person. And whoever this buyer is really the person that's on the contract. And also that the seller actually has legal title or legal authority to really sell this property. And then to provide some insurances and assurances that when they buy it, it's going to be free. The title will be free, and basically make it to where you don't have to worry about liens or anything after the fact. And so that's really, in essence, what a title company is. Very important part of the real estate transaction, the process. And I'd say just in America, the ability to buy property and to have confidence in that property, a title company makes that possible.
So I got the title commitment via email. What is that?
The title commitment is going to have exactly what Chad is saying. If there are any issues that come up, it's going to name the current owner. And if that current owner has liens, tax liens, child support, judgments, they're going to say, we're still willing to insure the property that this guy can sell it to the buyer, and those liens won't show up. But now the seller has some obligations to fulfill before closing. And so when you get that, you want to call your agent and just review each one of those items and make sure that there's nothing if there's a $400,000 tax lien the seller has on the property and you're buying it for $200,000, that could create some issues. And so you'll want to review that quickly and understand that the title company is going to issue that insurance policy to make sure that when he signs the deed to you, you really own it. The other piece of the title commitment is the buyer's obligation. So if you have had judgments or tax liens or those types of things, those would need to be cleared before you go to closing. So that's what we talked about, is if you know those things are out there, let's talk about them up front, because the worst thing is sometimes those may not show up until a day or two before closing, and then everything blows up.
And there's ways that you can deal with those things. I mean, if you have a $400,000 lien on a property and it's worth $200,000, there are still ways to sell it.
That's right.
It's a different path that we're going to have to go down to figure that out.
Right.
So will the title company contact me directly?
They possibly will. The information that they're going to want from you is very limited. And so most of the private personal information will come from your lender to the title company or from your agent to the title company. So they will be the main contacts. But if the title company calls you, they'll do most of their communication over the phone. One thing we want to talk about for sure is this new fraud that's happening.
Cyber terrorism,
where emails get hacked and these terrorists actually follow conversations in
They
your
might be in
email.
your email for over a year.
That's right.
Just watching your conversations.
And they know that once you're getting close to closing, you're going to need money to go to closing. One of the title companies just told us that right when the wire was time, the client got an email from their title company with their logo and their address and an attachment with wire instructions that said, send the money here. And initially the buyer said, okay, I'll do it. But they were smart and called the title company, and the title company said, absolutely not. So if you get anything in the email requesting personal information or wire money, call your agent, call the title company. Don't do anything thinking I'm going to speed the process up by just taking care of this.
Yeah, a title company will never ask for funds through an email, and really anything. If you ever get a request for email with money stuff, it's usually fraud anyway.
That's right.
I mean, there's other ways for them to reach out to you.
Yeah. So, what do I look for on that title commitment when I've got it out? Anything that I need to address? Do I have to do anything?
Well, that form can be an intimidating form. I mean, it's a long form. There's a lot of information.
Pages.
Pages and pages. I mean, it's going to talk about how much taxes are encumbered by that property. Idaho pays in arrears, so it makes it even a little more confusing if you don't understand that, which, I mean, you won't understand it unless you've studied it for a few years. I mean, it's complicated. So there's going to be liens on there. What you're looking for are liens that shouldn't be on there. For example, like if there's a judgment or if there's an IRS tax lien, you're looking for those things. And those are the things, it's not necessarily bad that it's on there if you're a buyer. You just want to make sure that that seller gets them removed before they close. Because that title commitment is basically saying, here's everything that's on your title. Are there any issues here where you're not willing to buy it? The cool thing is if you have a lender, they're not going to lend on the property unless the title's clean. So they are professionals in this, so they're going to be searching that. If you're a cash buyer, you need someone to be able to help you, and we as your agent can help you as well, and the title company, to make sure that you understand, if the title's clean or not. But title is an important thing. It's going to have your HOA liens on there, encumbrances by your HOA. It'll have easements. It'll have, if there's some property, boundaries and things like that someone, an easement has access to through your property, it should be recorded. And if it's recorded and attached to that property, it's going to show up on the title commitment.
So does that cost? Who pays for that?
Well, it does cost. That's one of the ways the title company makes their money, and it's negotiable. We've seen in Southeast Idaho, typically the seller will pay for the standard policy, and then there's a lender's policy involved if you're getting a loan, and typically the buyer will pay for that. And then there's also different endorsements or upgrades that you can get to the policy, and whoever wants it basically pays for that. But it's all negotiable, but we do kind of have a standard of what is normal in our market, and of course your agent will walk you through that as well.
So is title insurance like homeowners insurance?
They're both insurance. Homeowners insurance is a ongoing fee, right? Every month or every year you renew and you have an ongoing payment to cover your house if it burns down, if you have theft, and then there's liability that goes along with it. Title insurance is a one-time fee. And that one-time fee ensures that the previous owner will never be able to come back, or any of their creditors or judgments come back and say, hey, there's a piece of this house I own. The title insurance covers you from that day forward on that policy. So,
is title insurance required?
Well, again, it's hard to put one answer for every question. It's like one size doesn't fit all in real estate. If you're getting a loan, it's required because a lender is not going to help you. They will not give you money and finance a property unless there is title insurance. Maybe it's not required if you just do a personal transaction with someone, but you run at a huge risk of not checking out what's on title. And so it's required on finance properties, but it is recommended from us strongly that every property you should get title insurance. Yeah. Jeremy and I bought properties personally outside of, where we didn't use financing, and we've learned through title insurance. You want title insurance on every property. You go through a closing, insurance is worth it. Title insurance is worth it. Homeowners insurance, all insurance. It's good to have good insurance. Yeah. So.
And maybe talking about different shapes of property. If you're buying a property in a subdivision and it's a lot and a block of a certain subdivision, it's pretty easy to know the boundary, right? But if you're in a transaction where it's multiple acres, your standard title policy will not help you on boundary issues. But there are certain types of insurance that you upgrade, like Chad's saying, that will insure against encroachments and those types of things. And so if you're buying a bigger acreage, talk to your agent about those additional type of title insurance that cover some of those boundary issues, because they can be important.
Yeah, like homeowners insurance. Many times what you think might be covered isn't.
Right.
It's the same thing with title insurance. I mean, the policy that is typically paid for is going to be the most basic policy out there.
Right.
So if you have specific things, ask specific questions.
Right.
Because with good information,
You can
you can make good
decisions.
decisions.